Hey guys, welcome back to my channel. Today I'm doing a tutorial on a request that I received on Instagram recently, and it's on how to get some really creamy light tones in your images. And it's not anything over the top, but it is giving the images like a more moodier look, I guess, and also a more muted and film look as well. So we'll get right into the tutorial now, and the first step will be to bring up a solid color. So this solid color will be 423830, and we'll press OK. So what we're going to do is try and make this brown color transform into the shadows of the image. So we're going to set this layer to lighten at 23% because we don't want it too heavy. So 23% should be a nice number to kind of just fill in the shadows a little bit, giving the image a more neutral look. Now we're going to bring up curves, and we're going to make quite a few adjustments in curves. So the first few adjustments we'll do will just be in the RGB channel. So these ones I'm just going to type in because moving them around sometimes can be a bit hard. They don't always land on the exact numbers that I need them to. So the first points will be 21 and 0, and just by moving this marker up a little bit, we've lightened the shadows even more. So obviously this doesn't look very good at the moment, but we're going to change that. So the next point will be 43 and 44, which is already there. The next point will be 111 and 101. So we're getting it more of an S curve, just kind of lightening the shadows, and we will be probably darkening the highlights a little bit as well. So the next point will be 211 and 212. And the last point will be 238 and 255. So as we can see, there's more of an S curve in the curves adjustment layer. So I'll show you guys what that layer has done, and it's really just given the image more contrast, but really muted it and making it look a little bit more film-like. Okay, so the next adjustment we're going to make is still in curves, so we'll go back to adjustments, get rid of that. So the adjustments we're going to make will be in the green channel this time. So the first few adjustments will just be 8 and 0. Then the next point will be 92 and 91. And the next point will be 152 and 151. And then the last point will be just 255, which is already there. Now we're going to move on to the blues, and we're going to make some adjustments here too. So the first point will be 10 and 0. The next point will be 163. Well, that looks very interesting, doesn't it? So the next one will be 165. So 163 and 165. And the next point is 220. And 220. And then the last point will be 255, which is already there, and 246. So we'll just turn the eye on and off that one. So as you can see, it's just making a bit of a difference toning wise as well. It's cooled the image down a little bit while still keeping it looking fairly muted. I hope that wasn't too confusing with the curves adjustment layers. It's always hard to sort of record these parts of the tutorials because curves can be a little bit tricky, and you really need to experiment a bit with it till you kind of know what's happening with the curves and what they're doing. So I hope I kind of explained that okay. Okay, so the next adjustment we're going to bring up is another solid color, and this one's going to be 131741, and we'll press OK. We're going to set this to color dodge at 30%. So if we click that on and off, it's just giving it a really lighter look about the image. It's kind of brightening up some of the areas, but cooling it down just in the skin tones as well and in the lighter parts of the image. So we don't want it too yellow looking in parts, so we'll just turn that back on. Okay, and the next adjustment layer we're going to put up is selective color. So we'll bring that up. And we're going to make a few adjustments here. So just in the reds, we're going to move down a couple of tabs here. So in the magentas, we're going to move them down to -23. And we're just draining a lot of the really strong reds out of the image and the pinks. And we're going to do the same thing with yellows, but we'll move this one down to -13. So just by doing that, we've really kind of taken out a lot of the reddish tones out of the image, which is what we want for the moment. Now we're going to go back to adjusting in selective color, and we'll go to the yellows this time. And the yellows, we actually are going to move down to -64. So we're really draining out a lot of the yellows in the image. So -64 has really taken a lot of that out, as you can see. We'll go back to adjustments and we'll adjust the greens this time. So we really want some muted looking greens that aren't too saturated. So we're really going to take a lot of the green out of the image as well. A lot of that saturation. So we'll move down cyan to -100 all the way. We will move magenta to +34. And we'll move yellows to -100. So it'll give it that cooler looking green tone. And we'll also move blacks to +100. So it's kind of muting it even more, as you can see. So I'm going to turn that on and off so you can see the difference just in the greens and the warmer tones being drained out of the image there. And the last channel we're going to work on is blacks in selective color. So we're going to bring up cyan just a little bit in the blacks. So you'll see that that's making quite a big difference in the dark areas of the image. We're tending to make it a little bit more blue. And then we're going to move yellows down to -1, just to drain any more yellows out of the darker colors in the image. Okay, and now we're going to bring up another solid color. And this one's going to be 452 F25. We'll press OK, so it's kind of like a warm brown color. And this one's going to be set to soft light at 11%. So we're just bringing a little bit more contrast back into the image here and a little bit more warmth without making it too yellow and too red. Browns are kind of good like that, brown colouring in images like these. So you can see it just makes a little bit of a difference there. And another solid colour now we're going to bring up is 879 F9C. And we'll press OK. So it's quite a bright colour, quite a nice turquoisey kind of blue. And we're going to set this one to multiply at 16%. So what this blue is doing, if we just click this on and off here, it's kind of just muting the photo a little bit more, kind of making it not look too bright just in certain areas of the photograph, kind of evening out the lighting in the photograph a little bit more. So now we're just going to bring up levels, and we're just going to give it slightly a little bit more contrast, just especially in the blacks because it is starting to look a little bit too faded here. So we'll move this to 3, the shadows down to 3, and then we'll move the highlights to 247, which still gives the image a little bit of contrast. And now for the last layer, we're going to add a Vibrance layer. And now we're going to move the Vibrance to +41. And we'll move the saturation to +5. So it just kind of gives it that colour back in the photograph a little bit more without making it look too dull. Okay, now I'm just going to take a snapshot and you guys can see what it looks like now. So the original image was this, and now this is the completed image. So it's quite a moody looking tone, and it may only work for certain images. I find it's working a lot for images with a fair bit of green in them and images that are fairly evenly lit as well. So I'll just zoom in for you guys, and I'll do another before and after. So this is the before and this is the after. So for example, I've just got this other image here from the same shoot. So if we just click on all these layers, and I'll show you guys what this looks like on another image, and we'll drag them into this. See, it's kind of giving it a little bit more of a faded, muted look. Still kind of an interesting look, and yeah, it's just a little bit different for your images if you'd like to use these tones. Tends to give it more of a film effect overall. Alright guys, I hope you really enjoyed this tutorial. I am starting to try and get through some of my requests because they are starting to build up, and I haven't been doing as many lately as I would have liked to. So yeah, I'm starting to get through those over the next few days hopefully, and I will be travelling back to New South Wales next week because I have a photo shoot there, and I'm going back just to see some family as well. So I may not have any time during that time to do videos, so I'll try and pre-film a few so something's always going up on my channel at least. Anyway guys, thank you so much for watching, and I will see you next time.